My name is Howard, and I'm an alcoholic. In the 12 and 12, the first sentence in step 11 is that prayer and meditation is our principal means of having a conscious contact with God. And I would think that if we believe in God and we believe there's a possibility of being conscious of God's presence, we wouldn't want to skip the 11th step. This would be something that we devote ourselves to, and that is something that I have done. It also says in the 12 and 12 that self-examination, meditation, and prayer, taken separately, are of great benefit. But when these three things, self-examination, meditation, and prayer, are logically interrelated and interwoven, they form an unshakable foundation for life. Then the 12 and 12 gives us the St. Francis of Assisi prayer to meditate on. What we're going to meditate on is the first three steps. And at the bottom of the page where it has the St. Francis of Assisi prayer, Bill says, perhaps we will go over this prayer several times slowly with an open mind in order for us to listen for the deeper meaning of each word and phrase. We're going to do the first three steps, and the third step is going to be a long, drawn-out version of the third step prayer, which, while I have prayed, has come to me as deeper meanings of each word and phrase. So, I start sitting erect and alert. I let all the tension drain out of the top of my head, my temples, my face, jaw, neck, shoulders, right down my arms and down my back and front, out through my body, my legs down into the floor. Just let all the tension drain out of my body into the floor. Then I watch my breath. I'm conscious of my breath. Coming in, and then there's an interval where the breath stops coming in, and then it starts going out. Be aware of the interval, because that's where we lose our concentration sometimes. The breath coming in, the interval, the breath going out, another interval, and the breath coming in. The interval, the breath going out, another interval, and the breath coming in. The breath coming in, the interval, the breath going out, the interval, and the breath coming in. When we first come into AA, we are told that alcoholics are men and women who have lost the ability to control their drinking. That the loss of control is characterized by an insane, obsessive belief each time we start to drink that somehow, some way, this time, we're going to control and enjoy our drinking. And coupled with that obsessive belief is the physical reaction to alcohol, which manifests itself in a phenomenon of craving for more once we start to drink. The craving from time to time is so strong that we cannot overcome it with our human will. And we drink. And once we start to drink, we cannot control our drinking. We are alcoholics. Over any considerable period of time, it gets worse, never better. So let's quietly, silently, let's look at our own drinking history and the progressiveness of our drinking history. How it was fun to start with, perhaps, and then we drank to function. And then at the end, it was pitiful and incomprehensible demoralization. So in way of self-examination, in just a few moments, examine your own drinking history and satisfy yourself that it conforms to AA's description of the alcoholic, so that you can fully concede to your innermost self that you're an alcoholic. Having fully conceded to our innermost self that I am an alcoholic, I also know that if I start drinking again, I start where the pitiful and incomprehensible demoralization left off. I don't get to start at the top and work my way down. I start down, and it gets worse. Step one, we admitted we were powerless over alcohol. an essential, difficult acknowledgement to make. Fully conceding to the innermost self that I'm an alcoholic is the first step in my recovery. But the big book says my liquor was but a symptom, that the root of the real problem is selfishness and self-seeking. That I am a victim of the delusion that I can wrest satisfaction and happiness out of this world if I only manage well. But I could never make that delusion work in my life. If I base my sense of well-being on making it work, I don't have a sense of well-being. So drinking was a symptom of that loss of sense of well-being. Let's look at our lives today. Certainly, during our drinking, wasn't our basis for happiness and satisfaction based on and only on our ability to manage well? So we would be afraid, angry. Let's examine ourselves, self-examination, and see what a huge part that played in our life when we were drinking, and to what extent it plays a part in our life today. The breath coming in, the interval, the breath going out, the interval, and the breath coming in. Then we fully concede to our innermost self that we are powerless to manage our own life. And the outcome of our endeavors. Step one, we admitted we were powerless over alcohol. We admitted that our lives had become unmanageable. The 12 and 12 says our admissions of our personal powerlessness becomes the bedrock upon which we can build happy, comfortable lives. Step two, we came to believe in some power greater than ourselves that could restore us to sanity. Remembering that the bedrock on which we can build the happy, comfortable life is that we admit our personal powerlessness. The big book says that none of us would be able to completely define or comprehend this power, which is God. But it suggests we should be open-minded to the possible existence and ultimately be convinced of the existence of a few general principles which do not conflict with anyone's faith or religious denomination. The first of these might be a spirit of the universe underlying the totality of things. That this spirit has the all-powerful, guiding, creative intelligence, which manifests precise law in every aspect of all being. And I would add, manifest order, harmony, and unfolding goodness in every aspect of all being. Now on the next breath, shift your consciousness from the breath coming in and out to the weight of your body on the seat. That's gravity. Now let's know that that same gravity holds the Earth in a perfect orbit around the sun, so that the thermal properties on Earth support the creation and the sustaining of life on Earth. That same gravity holds an environment that supports the creation and the sustenance of life on Earth. Poisonous elements are held on the ground or in the ground. The light poisonous elements dissipate out into space. Gravity holds all of the water vapor, but lets poisonous elements dissipate out into space. So that when we breathe in air that has some of the elements necessary to sustain life. Oxygen is filtered through the lungs into the bloodstream, where it is blended with nutrients that are taken from food and drink that we've taken from our environment. And that is pumped into our bodies to give all of our cells new life. The breath coming in, sorted out for oxygen to blend with nutrients that are carried out to give all the cells new life. And we breathe out carbon dioxide into the air. Where plants absorb the air, filter out the carbon dioxide, which carries nutrients to the plant cells and releases oxygen. So that this synergistic relationship, processing oxygen to animal life, carbon dioxide to plant life, and back again, is just one example of divine order that supports our life. If you pick yourself on a high hill on a dark, moonless night, and you look up, the sky is filled with stars. At first glance, it looks like it's filled with stars, but looking closer, it's filled with galaxies. And each galaxy having hundreds of billions of stars. And there are 100 billion galaxies. A spirit of the universe underlies the totality of things. A non-material being having all-powerful, guiding, creative intelligence, manifesting precise law in every aspect of all being. Order, harmony, and unfolding goodness. Now let's go back to the breath. Coming in, the interval, going out, the interval. As the breath comes in, have your mind release into your consciousness as truth the mantra that the power of God is within me. And on the out-breath, the mantra, the grace of God surrounds me. The power of God is within me and manifests divine order in every aspect of my being. And the grace of God surrounds me. the power of God is within me, and the grace of God surrounds me. The power of God is within me, and the grace of God surrounds me. Now let's stop the mantra and just experience the presence of the power and the grace of God in our lives right now. The power and grace of God within us right now and throughout, underlying the totality of all things and every aspect of all being. Being conscious of the pervasive presence and power of divine order in our lives and throughout our universe, we pray, God, and then we pause and be conscious that we're addressing the spirit of the universe, which manifests all-powerful, guiding, creative intelligence, precise law, order, harmony, and goodness in every aspect of all being. That the power within me is God's grace, where God has given of God's self for the creation's goodness. I offer myself to Thee to build with me and do with me as Thy will. Everything in life I need for my fulfillment is drawn to me, and I know I'm given the power and the knowledge to interact with these circumstances and events, and to practice patience, tolerance, kindliness, and love. And to be conscious of the pervasive presence and power behind the unfolding order, harmony, and goodness. I am also given the power of self-will which I have always based my sense of well-being on things being the way the self wants it to be. So when circumstances and events unfold, I pray, relieve me of the bondage of self, that I may better do thy will. Take away my difficulty. Now let's pause and know as truth that divine order does not experience difficulties, problems, or unresolved circumstances. Those are features that are created by my mind, my limited knowledge and power, my lack of power, encounters circumstances and events that are beyond my capacity to grasp, and I experience a problem, a difficulty, or an unresolved circumstance. I must participate, but I cannot control the outcome. So practicing patience, tolerance, kindliness, and love, principally interacting with the circumstances and events, I need to see that that's in God's care. When I've done what I can do, it's in God's care, and I can trust. I will be able to see the unfolding goodness. Take away my difficulties. God will only take away those difficulties that I release to God, that I let go of. That victory over them may bear witness to those I would help of thy power. All the power in me and surrounding me is God's power, manifesting order, harmony, and unfolding goodness. Thy love I believe that God loves the unfolding order, harmony, and goodness, which is all he experiences. And that if I, in turn, love my life and my universe, then I will be in harmony with God's love of my life and the universe. And thy way of life, God's way of life, is God's gift of God's self to God's creation for its goodness. So my way of life, at best, would be to give of myself to God's creation and his creatures, and base my sense of well-being on that and on knowing it's going to unfold into goodness. Trusting that. In all my affairs. May I do thy will always. We'll say slowly the third step prayer again. God, I offer myself to thee to build with me and do with me as thy will. Relieve me of the bondage of self, that I may better do thy will. Take away my difficulties, that victory over them may bear witness to those I would help of thy power, thy love, and thy way of life. May I do thy will always. Now, let's finish the rest of the meditation, settling into a consciousness of the pervasive presence and power of order, harmony, and unfolding goodness in our lives, and the sense of well-being that we get from that consciousness. And when our consciousness dissipates from that, we can bring it back with the mantra. The power of God is within me. The grace of God surrounds me.